Hey everybody, welcome to Hat Hole Home Video. Today is, I guess, a little bit of a sad day because we are mourning the loss of what I think is the final independently owned mom and pop video store in my neck of the woods. Country Video Barn had operated since, I know the current owner ran it and owned it since at least the 90s. So I don't know the history before that, but it was at least there since the 90s. It was still operating and open until really just the last week or so. I found out they were going out of business. I went to see if, there were any sort of bits and pieces of history from the days of the video store, the heyday of the video store that I could pick up. And I did. I found a few things that I grabbed, and I want to show those to you today. First up, and maybe my favorite relic of the old days of the video store, I got this. The sign above the drop slot for dropping off your tapes after hours. Those of you who had to run to the video store in the middle of the night so you didn't get charged a late fee know the drop slot very well. For some reason, the drop slot always holds a little bit of extra nostalgia for me. I grabbed the swinging door off the drop slot from the video store that I grew up next to, and I was really happy to get this signage. He said this sign was probably at least 20 years old, so I'm very happy to have snagged that off the building. With permission. That should be pointed out. With permission, I got this off the building. And thankfully, this was kind of the big thing I was hoping to grab, and I did get some, not all that I wanted, but other people had dibs in front of me, but I did get some of the genre signage for the movie categories. So we've got cartoons on the back, we've got family children, we've got comedy, we've got another family children, front and back. Now we've got horror, but this one was cool too, because this was, he said, the new style, but on the back of this one, it had what was apparently the style before that. So this horror sign is probably what it looked like there pre 20 years ago. So I'm very happy to have at least one really old genre sign. We've got comedy and horror with thriller added on there down at the bottom. Super cool. And then we've got new arrivals. So I was super happy to get these. This was the kind of thing I was really hoping to get. And yeah, at least a couple of these, probably horror, probably new arrivals, maybe cartoons. They're going up. They're going up in the vault. So the video store will never die because a piece of it will be alive here. I gotta say, the Country Video Barn had been operating this entire time. So they had moved on to Blu-rays. They still had a lot of Blu-rays they were selling off. I went in not expecting really anything as far as VHS goes, anything from the old days as far as movies go. But I was wrong about that, kind of anyway. There was some VHS stuff still floating around. A lot of empty clamshells like this. He had a bunch of these that he was selling as storage boxes, mini storage boxes. He said, it said like, store your pencils and pens in these little mini storage boxes. So I grabbed a bunch of them just because I hate to see them just end up in the trash, but there were some that still had movies in them. And then he also had some screener VHS tapes that got sent to his video store. So that stuff is super cool. I grabbed some stuff, so let's look through it. First of all, we've got Crouching Tiger. Oh, the autofocus is just gonna not want to cooperate with us, is it? Okay, never mind about that. But that was Crouching Tiger. Look at this. We've got Demons 2. It's just not gonna cooperate, is it? Well, Demons 2, so this is a very old... This case probably had that movie in it back, you know, in the 80s. Hocus Pocus. We've got blank ones. Now here's a couple that actually still had tapes in them. One I was very excited for. Avenging Angel, which is a great movie to find. Thankfully, I do have it in an actual, you know, proper case, sleeve. So I'm not super disappointed that this doesn't have any kind of image on it, but that was neat to find. And then also Armed and Dangerous, an old John Candy comedy, which I remember watching because I watched like every John Candy comedy back in the day. I remember the cover. The cover's like John Candy, like, hey, and he's got like guns and stuff. So here were a couple screeners I grabbed. Wes Craven presents Dracula 2, The Ascension, which I do not recall. But again, this is a screener copy. So this is what the video store would be sent, basically to entice them to order copies to rent, to have in their video store. So you see a lot of advertising on the back, really not trying to sell it to a viewer, but sell it to a business owner. And then we also had The Curve, starring Matthew Lillard. You've got Kerry Russell is in it too. Looks kind of interesting. I don't remember it. But yeah, the guy had a bunch of screeners. Unfortunately, I did not get there quick enough. I think he'd been in the process of closing for about a week before I got there. And I guess he had at least a couple hundred screeners. And I kind of missed out on those, unfortunately. And the last couple things I'm going to show you, I sort of instantly had buyer's remorse on. But, you know, it's a big part of the video store. And it was really hard to pass up. All I'll say is if you got little kids watching, that you don't want to have to explain the back room of the video store, you know, maybe you know, stop watching. I'll show you these covers. The covers are fine. They're not anything explicit. I definitely can't show you the back covers because they are wildly inappropriate. But yes, the guy still had a selection of VHS in his back room. And I grabbed a couple things. I figured if nothing else, for trading and for selling amongst the VHS community, they'd be good to have. So, by the way, these next 4 tapes, very much for sale. So if you want to make me an offer, go for it. The first one is Stacey Valentine in Thrust. And holy cow, the back cover. I'm blushing just looking at it. You've got, I'm trying really hard to not show at the back covers at all. You've got Sleeping Beauties. This one's an older one. Fans of Savannah and Madison and Tom Chapman. He's got to have fans, right? We've got Perverted, what is it called? Perverted Women. Just very classy. Very classy. I miss the days of adult movies at least trying to pretend that they were a legitimate art form. I miss the air of class and sophistication from the 80s, you know? These are pretty bottom of the barrel stuff. But we've got Fantasies Incorporated. Fantasies Incorporated, starring Vicky Vett. I couldn't, it's so deeply entwined in the history of the video store. It was really hard to pass up. But the second I was paying like money for them, the second money was leaving my hand and those were entering my other hand, I felt like, oh, gross. But whatever, it's fine. And I forgot there was one other thing. He had a ton of little kids posters for like direct-to-video stuff. And I was looking through them as we were chatting, and there was one poster mixed in that was a home run for me. It's a movie that my wife and I deeply, deeply love, and it's Hot Rod. So this is, you know, coming to video on DVD, November 13th. So that was super cool to find. A fun little bit of just mixed into all the silliness, something super cool. So that is it. That is it. Goodbye, Country Video Barn. I'm glad I was able to snag a few things to keep your memory alive. And I'm going to admit, I wanted to get a couple of his actual fixtures, but he wanted way too much money for them, and he was not moving on it at all. So we got some really, really cool little pieces of history. So I'm not disappointed at all. All right, thank you for watching, everybody. If you haven't, please hit the subscribe button, the like, the share, all that fun stuff that helps the channel grow. I really do appreciate it. You all have been coming out guns a-blazing, helping this channel lately, and I really, really, really do appreciate it. So whether you are a dirty dog sleeping in the sun or an alley rat eating up the night, you know you are always welcome here at the video store. Bye-bye.